Welcome to Empowering Entrepreneurs. I'm Emily Oswald.
And I'm Sarah Brophy, and we are the owners of The Digital Destination.
We're bringing you motivational reminders and stories from fellow business owners.
Get empowered with us and stay hungry for success. Hi, everyone. It's Sarah. It's just me today. I'm so excited. We have a guest on our podcast today. Today we have Korri Bennett with the Dapper Dog Academy joining us on Empowering Entrepreneurs. So welcome, Korri.
Hi.
So we're really excited to have Korri on the podcast today. So Korri, go ahead and tell us a little bit about the Dapper Dog Academy.
The Dapper Dog Academy is basically it's a training. I'm a dog trainer, basically. I cover most of DFW area, but I'm based out of Cleburne, so South Fort Worth area, kind of stuff like that. I focus primarily on kind of getting dogs calmer and then putting obedience on top of that. But my biggest goal is for a calm mindset as our baseline. So that's primarily what I focus on, is kind of calming dogs down. I deal a lot with puppies, hyper dogs, stuff like that. And I also do some off-leash training too.
Wow, that's awesome. Definitely a very good business to be in. Emily and I both have dogs. At some point, we will hopefully have them in a cameo on the podcast. We have Tucker and Emily has Ollie. So we love dogs. But Korri, tell us a little bit about when and how you got your business started. How did you get into dog training?
So that's an interesting story. So I had an aggressive German Shepherd. And because I was kind of very uneducated when I was probably about 24 or so, and I went and just kind of picked one out of like a backyard breeder, had no idea what I was getting, and ended up getting a working German Shepherd. So we had a lot of issues because he was super bored. I was trying to make him a pet. So I hired a dog trainer and kind of just fell in love with the way that he was training us and the whole process and everything. So then after that, I interned with him for about 8 months, and while I was also working full time. And then after that, I went to a different company and I worked for them for about 4 years doing puppy training and pet dog training. And then in 2020, not the best year, but I started my own company. So it was an interesting timing, but yeah, it all worked out pretty good. So.
Wow, that's amazing. And that was such a challenging time to not only start a business, but I feel like people were losing their jobs during that time. So many people were going through so many different changes over the pandemic. So that's really incredible that you were able to start your business during that time frame. That's really awesome.
Thank you.
So can you kind of tell me a little bit about just your training program and what sets you apart from other dog trainers in the area? Because we were talking about there's a lot of dog trainers in DFW. So what sets the Dapper Dog Academy apart?
I would say probably my biggest thing is, and I know a lot of trainers do this too, but I like to keep things very personal. I know that it's a big deal to send your dog off to school or trust somebody to like take care of your dog for a certain amount of time. So I try to keep everything more like you're sending your dog off to a buddy instead of you're sending your dog off, to just some random facility somewhere. So that's the biggest thing, is I always like the trust, I think, is the biggest thing that I hit on the most with most of my clients. And that's what I focus on the hardest, I think. So
very, very important things to have trust, and especially like the way I feel about my dog, I'm like, that's my baby. So
yeah,
like,
and I get that a lot.
Korri, what is one of the biggest challenges that you've kind of faced in your journey? I know you mentioned opening up in the pandemic. I'm sure that had its whole slew of challenges, but why don't you walk us through some of the challenges that you've faced as an entrepreneur?
I guess the biggest thing is when you're starting out, it's the roller coaster of the finances, so you do like the feast or famine roller coaster. So you just got to really stay focused whenever you're in those like really slow times, and just try to keep putting out like content and keep coming up with new ideas and ways to get your clients back involved, get them talking about you, stuff like that. So that's kind of the hardest thing, is those roller coasters. And then the other thing that I still continue to struggle with is like setting time aside for yourself too, because that'll cause burnout so fast, you know, and I didn't realize that running everything by myself finally. Now I'm like, oh, I do need a day to myself a week, you know, so.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So have you kind of like, I know you said your boyfriend helps you a little
Mhm.
bit. Has that kind of helped you get some time back for yourself a
Yes,
little bit?
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He kind of gives me a break sometimes if I need it, you know. I've been out running around doing lessons all day, or, you know, I just did all of the training sessions, and then he'll kind of come in and like take care of them for a little bit so that I can sit there and just be like, you know what I mean? Have a moment to myself. So.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. So since you're, training with the dogs for most of the day, like how have you found time to do the admin side? Because you're killing it on social right now. Like that's
Oh,
how
thank
I
you.
found Korri. I found her through a Facebook group, and then I ended up following her on Instagram, and she is on there like, I feel like almost every day. You're like on there posting, and you have
Yeah.
like new little doggy clients all the time, and it's like, so
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing your posts.
Oh,
Like I
thank
get so
you.
excited when there's like a new Dapper Dog Academy dog.
Right.
It's super cute. But how have you kind of like been able to balance that? Because it's two very different things, but they're both so necessary for your business.
Well, I'm still working on balancing that, if that makes sense. So, you know, my business is still pretty young, where I'm only about 3 years in. So I'm still kind of learning all of that stuff. And I guess that would go back to the whole struggle thing, is like, you also have to set aside that time to like go through and make sure all your receipts and your taxes stuff is in order, and make sure your contracts are good and all of that stuff too. So, yeah, I'll let you know when I get the perfect balance going. But
I don't know if we ever, if we'll
right.
ever learn the perfect balance. We're
But I
all
try.
trying though, right?
Yeah.
So, what advice would you have to somebody who is looking at starting their own dog training business?
Go and find other trainers to learn from. Shadow and learn as much as you possibly can, both about training and about the admin side of things, so that you're prepared for both. And then once you are a trainer, my biggest piece of advice is going to be to continue learning, because there's always new approaches coming out, new things happening, and not every dog is going to be the same. So just always continue learning is going to be my biggest thing. So
Yeah, that's great advice. Not only for people going into dog training, but for all of us. That's awesome advice.
yeah.
With that. So what we like to do, since this is about empowering entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
do you have like a favorite motivational quote or sayings for those moments when you're kind of going through those challenges and you need to keep going in your business?
I have one that's a joke between me and my best friend.
Yeah,
We
let's
tell
hear
each
it.
other to legit to quit. You know, I don't know if you've ever heard that one. But I actually did save a real one. Hold on one second. I'm so sorry. So I found this one. It says, some entrepreneurs think, how can I make a lot of money? But the better way is to think, how can I make people's lives a lot better? If you get it right, then the money will come. So I think that's very true with dog training too, for sure. With a lot
Yes.
of services, really. So.
Oh my gosh. No, that's I really like that one. I also
Yeah.
like Too Legit to Quit. That one's really good too.
That was just kind of a joke. But
I love it. No, that was great. Well, thank you so much, Korri, for being on the podcast today.
absolutely.
We absolutely loved having you. And we're going to link the Dapper Dog Academy in the show notes. If you guys want to go check them out on their website or go see their Instagram and see all the cute dogs, you can definitely go do that. So go check the show notes. And thank you so much, Korri.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe through your favorite platform and leave a review. We'd love to hear from you.
You can learn more about the Digital Destination and work with our small business by finding us on Instagram or Facebook at thedigitalDestination.co.